A rough day for Joe Biden and election manic Democrats as Special Counsel Robert Hur testified under oath. Now, what we saw today was both parties very angry at the special counsel, grilling him for several hours after Hur gave Joe Biden a pass for clearly criminal behavior with classified documents, but at the same time used a very politically damaging reason for Biden as to why he did so, leaving the Democrat Party in the ultimate catch-22. Is it better for their nominee, for Joe Biden, to be viewed as capable but corrupt in 2024, or senile but innocent? Biden's rage over Robert Hur's depiction of him was clear when he spoke to the media the night that Hur's report was initially released. Remember this?
I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business.
Biting the hand that feeds him is what he's doing, pretending not to realize that Robert Hur and the DOJ are clearly on his side in this case. Compare Trump and Biden, after all. Hur referring to this moment from late last year and the big Biden interview he had. Biden saying, what month did Bo die? Oh, God, May 30th. And then Miss Cotton says 2015. Another male says 2015. Biden goes, was it 2015 he had died? Unidentified male speaker says it was May of 2015. And Biden then finally says, okay, it was 2015. Now, further down, Biden claims he couldn't remember what year Trump was elected, which was also his last year as vice president. President Biden, and what's happened in the meantime is that as Trump gets elected in November of 2017, the male speaker says 2016. 16. All right, so why do I have 2017 here? So the president appears to have exploited his old age and memory issues to avoid culpability for criminal behavior. That's at least how it appears to me. Here's Robert Hur explaining how Joe Biden responded when he was questioned about an audio recording of himself telling his ghostwriter for a book he was paid $8 million that he had found a bunch of classified documents in his basement. Take a listen to this.
We interviewed the president and asked him about his recorded statement. Quote, I just found all the classified stuff downstairs, end quote. He told us that he didn't remember saying that to his ghostwriter. He also said he didn't remember finding any classified material in his home after his vice presidency. And he didn't remember anything about how classified documents about Afghanistan made their way into his garage. My assessment in the report about the relevance of the president's memory was necessary and accurate and fair. Most importantly, what I wrote is what I believe the evidence shows and what I expect jurors would perceive and believe.
So we all know that Joe Biden has some senility issues here, but what he did to basically pull this off was to really play them up when Robert Hur put him into a corner. And this is how Hur established the narrative that Joe Biden was simply too senile to charge. Hur's excuse for saving the hide of establishment Joe, obviously. Apparently you can now rob a bank and pretend you don't remember doing it, and the DOJ is not going to charge you. I guess that's the new rules. It seems pretty clear a very nervous Joe Biden really played it up. I can't remember anything. I don't remember a single thing. That was his way of avoiding trouble in a very tense moment. He's got the DOJ on him, and he's obviously had classified documents for decades that he stole from a secure location. Play dumb. Joe Biden's always been a liar. Why would that change now? Less than 2 years later, Biden shamed Trump in front of the national media for being so irresponsible with his own classified material. Remember this?
When you saw the photograph of the top secret documents laid out on the floor at Mar-a-Lago, what did you think to yourself, looking at that image?
How that could possibly happen. How anyone could be that irresponsible.
Now, just to show you how phony this guy is, at the moment he gave that interview, Joe Biden was in the midst of dealing with the archives and the DOJ over his own classified document disaster. When he said that, he had his own disaster of the same making going on. Of course, it hadn't been made public yet. The DOJ waited till after the midterms to protect the Democrat Party. Like a week later, they announced this, just to show how disingenuous the president can be a moment like that. Democrats spent much of the day comparing the Biden classified case with Trump's, which ended up being a really dumb move because the cases are pretty much identical. We have watched over the last several months as a very desperate DOJ kept moving the line, which can't be crossed in regards to behavior with classified documents. They kept moving it because Joe Biden's story kept getting worse. His lies kept getting found out, and then they had to move the line of the story, and so the line that you can't cross to get charged had to move with it. Whatever Trump did that Joe Biden didn't do was, of course, going to be the line for the DOJ. Today, Democrats tried to create what is actually a false narrative in all truth, that Joe Biden may have stolen documents from a secure location, which is actually worse than what Trump has done, but at least Joe Biden didn't obstruct the process of giving them back. Listen to Jerry Nadler.
While simultaneously managing the first hours of the crisis in Israel, President Biden volunteered to sit through a 5-hour interview with the special counsel.
The report establishes that President Biden offered complete and unhesitating cooperation with the special counsel's investigation. The Justice Department and the National Archives were proactively notified of the classified documents, and they were turned over.
Yes, now you can steal classified information. You can share it with your ghostwriter while he puts together a book that's going to make you $8 million. You just can't obstruct the investigation when you get caught. Except it appears that's exactly what Joe Biden and company did. Robert Hur says Joe Biden's ghostwriter for his $8 million book tried to destroy recorded evidence of Joe Biden discussing his classified documents and finding those classified documents. Watch this moment with Jim Jordan.
What did that ghostwriter do with the information Joe Biden shared with him on his laptop? What did he do after you were named special counsel?
Chairman, if you're referring to the audio recordings that Mr. Zwanitzer created of his conversations with
Exactly
Mr. Biden,
what I'm referring to.
He slid, if I remember correctly, he slid those files into his recycle bin on his computer.
Tried to destroy the evidence, didn't he?
Correct.
The very guy who was helping Joe Biden get the $8 million, Joe Biden had used the motive for Joe Biden to disclose classified information, to retain classified information, which he definitely knew was against the law. When you get named special counsel, what's that guy do? He destroys the evidence.
That guts a lot of the narrative that we've been seeing from Biden's party and from the media. Robert Hur is named special counsel, and suddenly Joe Biden's ghostwriter is destroying evidence of the things that Joe Biden told him about classified information. Do you really think that the ghostwriter did that on his own? Or did a member of Joe Biden's staff make a phone call and say, you need to get rid of that? Flat out evidence of obstruction. The one thing they thought Trump did that Biden didn't do, because remember, that had to be the line. Oops. And it doesn't end there. Today, James Comer highlighted a massive timeline discrepancy that multiple members of Biden's staff were moving his documents around, furiously going after them, trying to get them around. A lot of low-level people handling boxes of documents long before the surprising discovery of Biden's documents at 7 different locations, by the way, long before they announced that to the National Archives. Here's James Comer.
President Biden's attorneys claim to have first discovered classified material at Penn Biden Center on November 2nd, 2022. However, President Biden and his lawyers kept it secret from the American people before the midterm elections. The real timeline began in the spring of 2021, not November 2022, as the White House claimed. Additionally, the classified documents were not kept in a locked closet, as asserted by the White House. We've also learned that 5 White House employees and a Department of Defense employee were involved in the early stages of coordinating the organizing, moving, and removing of boxes that were later found to contain classified materials.